the next question was from Jack. The next question is, my client is based out of Texas, but operates in 5 other states, fully across those states, not limited to any one metro region. What's the best way to set up the company GMB page so reviews for one state aggregate under the main company as well? Or if that's not possible, what would be the best way to go about setting up the GMB either individually in each state or globally under some other configuration? Well, remember, Google My Business is supposed to be, especially now, there was another question I see on the page here a little bit lower about what happened on November 8th. And from my understanding, which I've only done I've only kind of read through some comments and stuff, is that it was basically an update to the maps algorithm for GMB stuff, and it's gone even more proximity based. So Google's tightened the proximity filter, so to speak. And so with that said, Google My Business is supposed to be for local businesses, right? I mean, we've talked about setting up GMBs and, setting your service area to the United States, for example. And that's okay, but it's okay for like the entity, but it's not going to help you to rank anywhere in the United States in maps. That said, you're also, in this case, you're talking about 5 different states. They're located in Texas, but they operate in 5 other states. So you could have, if you have an office in each other state, you could have a GMB for each office location. It's not necessary, but you can. That said, if you wanted to get reviews in, let's just say Arizona, let's just say that that's one of the states that you operate in. If you get reviews in Arizona, but you want them to populate on the Texas GMB, if that's the way you have it set up, you can't do that. If you had a GMB in Arizona, I mean. If all you have is the one Google My Business location in Texas, then it doesn't matter where you get the reviews from. They're all going to aggregate on that one and only Google My Business location. My point that I'm trying to make is you cannot get GMB reviews in one location and have them also populate onto another GMB location. You can't do that. Because each GMB entity or location is supposed to be its own and collect its own, or aggregate its own reviews. So that said, I would consider what it is you're trying to do. As far as if you have multiple GMBs, which I'm not sure that you do, but if you do, then what I would recommend you do is use some sort of review directing app. I know for contractors, the one that works really well is birdeye.com. I think another one might be Podium. I've not used that, but some of my contractor clients use Birdeye, and that works well. But it's like a review gate, right? So it would be an app where you send out to customers or clients or whatever. The company or the business sends out to customers and solicits a review or asks for a review, and then somebody leaves a review, and the app can direct where the review gets published to, if that makes sense. So you have more control over it that way. And if it's, below 3 stars, then it can be not posted as a review. Instead, it could be brought to, sent to the customer service team so that they can reach out and try to resolve potential issues, that kind of stuff. I would look into something like that if you're trying to have more control over where your reviews are coming from and where they're going to be posted to. Anybody want to comment on that?
Yeah, I'm just guessing that his client and whatever it is that they're doing, that it triggers a 3-pack, right? It triggers a map pack, and it triggers map rankings. If that's the case, then get a map where in each one of the places where your client operates, and associate everything to the main entity that's out of Texas. And so then the AI is sophisticated enough to then understand, once you begin associating all of these, to understand that it's all part of the same company. It's a company that operates out of Texas, but has regional offices in 5 other states. And so that if you do get a review, for example, in Texas for a company in another state, it could be taken into consideration. I'm not saying that the AI is that sophisticated, but it could. I mean, at some point it will be. It will be able to understand all of these different relationships and put everything together. And if you do a really good job in your structured data of putting all of this together for the bot, then you won't even have to leave it to the bot to guess and try to understand what this is all about. You can tell it, you can code everything in JSON LD to tell the bot what this is all about. Having done that, then you don't have to worry about reviewing everything or aggregating everything under the main company. It will all be taken together because everything is associated if you've done your job correctly. Now, if it's globally, then we're not worrying about maps, and then the reviews wouldn't even come into play unless you can trigger a knowledge panel, and that's a totally different story.
Yeah, and if that's the case, if it's globally, then I would just have all reviews going to the one GMB asset wherever the primary location is.
Yep.
Because then all you're trying to do is build the brand, not individual locations, right?